KI5CY here, and today I was bored this morning before the sun came out, and got to working on that rotator that was given to me, and I ran into a couple problems. It was like the pot was progressive, or whatever was reading it was progressive. I'm beginning to think it was the pot, because whenever I try to map it, it would never come out right. So going through all that, I ended up writing a little Arduino program and had my Arduino handle all the routines. Here's a picture of the back of the Yaesu controller, where I made I clipped the wires in the back for the pot that's inside the rotator, and then I can hook it up to this board. Here's another picture of the board. So I've got a 500 ohm resistor on positive 5 volts. I also hooked up to the analog reference on 0 of the Arduino board, and then my other side of it goes to ground. It seemed to work better this way, because the other way it was really going all over the place. And then I've got the rotator here marked out. I think I've got white, green, yellow, and red, and right here is my 0 point for its orientation. Right now it is at 0, but here's the code that here's the code that I wrote for it. A little extra crap in there, a little bit of extra stuff in there that I haven't knocked out of it yet, and I'll put this link down below in the description. Just going through it is where I declare my variables. Right here is where I get the value from the analog reference, and then I set minimum and maximum values, and I'm not sure why they're backwards, but that seems to be the only way it works. So the minimum of 520 and the maximum of 20, even though it's vice versa. If I tried to map it out from this point, it just never comes out right. I mean, 0 will come out right, 450 will come out right. Everything in between is totally wrong. There should be 90 degrees every break, and there's not. With the potentiometer, it's accurate. I mean, linear wise, it's accurate. Through the meter, through the head unit here, it wasn't accurate. Through the Arduino, mapping it out, it progressively got wider and wider the higher it went. So I'm not exactly sure what in the world was going on there. So rather than map it that way, I just divided it up into quadrants from the sensor value reading, which you can see here, where I set up my 5 quadrants. There's probably a better way of doing this, but I'm no professional or guru at the Arduino's language. Then in here I have my case statement that basically, whatever quadrant it's in, then we're going to map it the 90 degrees. So if it's between 20 and 190 and the sensor value, it's going to be 0 to 90. And I had to put that in there because for some reason I was getting -1s in there. So yeah, another example of I use max instead of minimum, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but whatever, it works. And then so forth, and so forth. Second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant, and then this is my overlap in the fifth quadrant. And it just comes out and prints my sensor value, prints my map value, which really should be my quadrant. Then it prints my degree value based upon where it was mapped for the 90 degrees. If the sensor map is of quadrant 5, extra little thing prints out here and basically just says overlap, and then it does the sensor value and degrees of overlap from 0 to 90, and then comes on through, does a last reading equals sensor degree, and actually way up at the very beginning here, where is it at? Oh, right here at the beginning of the print statement. If the two are equal coming around, then it just doesn't do it. It just skips it, and there's a half-second delay, and that's pretty much it. So anyhow, after doing all that little bit of programming, I mean, it actually took a little longer than it should have. I probably spent about an hour in that, just going through the frustrations of that map function that just absolutely would not work correctly, or at least would not work linearly. What you saw there was what I ended up with, and this is how it looks when you're looking at it on the output. I should have mentioned that I had it output into the same USB, so there's a constant pulse coming out of it. Well, if anything's changed, there's a constant pulse out of it. So here's what it looks like. We'll go all the way to 90 degrees. Alright, let's try this again. So let's go ahead and clear the screen. So I'm going to look at the main screen. I'm just going to look at the red and see what happens here. And close. I mean, I guess I'm not all the way there. Just a hair over, but close enough. Let's go on to the yellow. It should be 180. Hmm. 180. And the green, which should be 270. Should hit 360 here. Right about there, 360. And go all the way to 450. And there we are. You can see on the screen there where it says overlap and the degrees over. I did the degrees over so I knew how far over, because more than likely it's going to be at 360 all the time, and I'll just use that extra overlap to hit Dallas and Fort Worth, and then I can come back and hit the westerly parts of Fort Worth and Benbrook. But that was pretty much it. I have a little breadboard, a little project breadboard with a screen that I thought about putting on this, but I may just leave it as using termite to view it. Winch project I built. I might show some pictures at the end of this of it. It's an upgrade from that little 2500 orange cheapy Chinese winch I had. This one's a 5,000 pound winch. All the little bolts were, if somebody tried to like pull a vehicle with it and did like an abrupt boom, you know, pulling on it, and they actually twisted the body, ripped the bolts out of the bottom of it, really just messed it up horribly bad. But I spent a whole whopping $3 at Lowe's to get me a bunch of little Allen cat bolts. Took all the bent bolts out, stuck those in, and now it's straight. So just kind of lucked out. There was one snapped off bolt where they tried to get it off the vehicle, and I guess their only solution was to cut it. I had to cut it down and leave it a little bit shorter, and I had to use a big chisel to knock it out, or punch actually. But it finally came out after about 10 minutes. So that's all I got today. This is KF5CY wishing y'all 73s. Be good. We'll go all the way to 90 degrees. Maybe. What did we do? Did we unplug it? Well, I'm at a loss.